Attack the Bats by Asha Star. Chapter 1. Darkness floated over the filly, locking her into a pit of endless abyss of heavy night. Her only chance was to hack her way out. With the skill of a panther, she pounced on the nearest lump and squeezed before moving on to the next. A giggle came from beyond the darkness as she hugged something firm, then moved on to the next obelisk she could sense. She couldn't tell what it was, but the monsters that had locked her away in the abyss must have a weakness for hugs. She knew what had to be done. She struggled against the weight of the darkness, made a desperate rearing lunge for the last tall obelisk, and roared as the beast laughed and the darkness was lifted. "Golden Ring, you're the most precious foal in history, I swear," her mother said softly as she bit the scruff of the filly's mane and moved her back to the center of her crib. "But it's bedtime, and you have to calm down like all good fillies your age." Whatever the creature was saying, it wouldn't win. Golden's spirit and resolve was too strong. With a squeal of power, she reared and latched onto her mommy's muzzle and hugged her with all her might. With luck, she'd be released from the nightly punishment and would be allowed to explore the room that was her world. "Oh, not tonight, young mare. All good unicorns need sleep to get their magic big and strong, so good night." With that, the creature's head glowed, and then the room was nearly as dark as it was when Golden was in the abyss, and when she was completely alone now. She grunted. Crying for food brought Mummy back, but she wasn't as happy then, and every time after she was more upset than the last, even if the milk was always warm and the cuddles were super nice. She could always pee, but that left her wet and uncomfortable and made Daddy upset if he had to change her cloth. Thinking of what to do seemed to work well enough to put the filly to sleep. But tonight she had a feeling. A new feeling in the pit of her chest, and it was tingly. She looked to the door and really wanted it open. Then it opened. Golden squealed with happiness, then gasped as the door to her nightly prison slid down, freeing her. She was free? With a tumbling roll and sudden stop on her tail, she looked around and hiccuped as she took to her hoofs and made for the open door. There sure was a lot of stuff on her floor. Traps. Not on her watch. Any good soldier in the Royal Guard won't be foiled by such tricks. She fell to her belly and carefully crawled between the objects called toys. "Acoo!" With a look back and toothless smile, Golden was clear of the first obstacle. Next was beyond the threshold. A world she knew little of, but enough to know that she was going to have to brave it to complete the next phase of her mission. Looking down the hall both ways, she noticed a light at the end of the tunnel. A yellow light, perhaps the sun. "Chill," Golden whispered as she took shaky steps down the path, only to stop. It was too easy. She slowly looked up, and there they were. Bats. More than she could ever count in her life. She stood still as they rested above her, perched on both sides on the walls for length. She couldn't make it all the way without waking them. With a waggle of her tiny yellow tail, she took a quick hop. Several more, and a few more after that to the edge of one of their nests. Terrifying creatures, bats. She began to climb the nest, hoping to make it to the top and walk the rafters above them when she slipped and used her magic to grab the first thing she could think of. "Coulthard!" She froze and lay flat on the level of the nest as one of the bats fluttered awake and down below before thudding loudly onto the floor. The beast must have taken a poor critter as its meal. The fiends. "Did you hear that?"
Daddy asked from far away.
"Ignore it and get my pasterns. I've had a long day, honey."
"Mom!"
Golden whispered, hope sparking in her heart as she resumed her climb. Finally, the top of the nest. Now she could see the tunnel was full of nests and obelisks, shrines and busts. A treasure trove of knowledge and wealth that belied the horrors below her. She cautiously made to move to the next nest and leapt as the first nest cracked, sending bats everywhere. They fluttered mindlessly earthwards as Golden panicked and began to gallop and jump a routine that nearly took her to the light, to her freedom.
What in Celestia's name?
Daddy's voice called as the bats and their nests collapsed. The porthole opened and there stood Mommy and Daddy, mouth agape, as their hallway lay full of books and a single filly dangled for dear life on the bust of her great-grandfather.
Honey,
Mommy said.
Your turn. She doesn't get this from my side of the family.
Golden was levitated in the air, scrambling silently for a grip on anything. In the darkness, the book bats were lying, dead across the floor, and their nests were broken.
What a mess,
Daddy said as he tripped over a book bat. She was back into her room and back into bed with a frustrated look aimed at her. She wilted under his gaze and crawled under the covers.
That's more like it. I don't want to come back in here, so good night.
He leaned over and kissed her horn, then turned on a single lamp to brighten the room. He closed the door gently, and she could hear the sound of the hallway being fixed. She knew the night was safe again, thanks to her efforts and the toil her parent went through to bring her back to her safety zone. She'd have to attack the squeaking chair in the other room someday, but until then... sleep would win this eve. Hello and welcome back to Comment Thomas Visual Pony. I'll remind you that you can support PonyWolf Productions through the links down in the description below. Every dollar helps is needed and very much appreciated, and it helps to keep the lights on around here. And you want to keep the lights on around here, right? Because otherwise it gets dark and I can't keep reading. Anyhow, let's get into the meat of the story, because I don't think I can keep reading this fast for much longer. Okay, wow, that came out like out of a machine gun. Wow. Anyhow, yeah, seriously guys. This story is just cuteness overload. Go give that author some love. And wow. Just wow. This was just cuteness overload, and I can completely understand that because I was a kid with a livid imagination. Or vivid, not livid. With a vivid imagination. And this could have so been me. Anyhow, sincerely yours, Visual Pony? I hope that the story finds you well in body and mind, and that you will go over to this author's page and give them a thumbs up for this story, because so far it only has 11 upvotes and it was released 6 years ago. That's a crime, guys. Let's fight this crime and go over there and give this author some love. I'm adding it to my favorites right now and voting the story up. Sincerely yours, Visual Pony. Cuddling Ensues by The Fig Man. You feel like a cloud. The thunderous boom outside your house was the only thing to suggest that tonight wasn't perfect weather for stargazing. It was also the only thing keeping you from your peaceful slumber. Anything but a quiet night would simply not do for sleeping. It's been 10 minutes now of lying awake, imagining all the sleep you wish you could have when there's a knock on the door. It's not even a knock, really. It sounded more like someone softly cuffed the door, as if they were hesitant to actually make a sound. The door creaks a little as it swung further open. You push your covers down, roll onto your back and face the door. Come in. Slowly, very slowly, the door swings on the hinges to reveal to you the mare standing behind it. At first, all you see is a rainbow-colored tail, but as the door continues, a cyan form is rapidly revealed to you, until that gives way to another set of rainbow. this time a mane sitting atop a head holding large, magenta eyes. Of course you knew already that it would be Rainbow Dash. Looking at her, you take a moment to admire how much she's grown in the short time she's been in your care. You can see behind her the many black lines etched into the doorway marking the height over time. It's only been 2 years since you found her and she's already grown so much. A few more and she'll be a fully grown mare.
What is it, Dash?
I had a bad dream,
she whispers quietly, looking downtrodden, staring at the floor.
Can I stay with you tonight?
Full of hope, she glances up with large, quivering, almost tearful eyes. And yet, somehow you can see so much joy hidden behind them. Your eyes close as a smile slips its way on your face.
Of course you can.
Opening your eyes once again, you see the joy Rainbow Dash was holding back erupt all at once. A large, toothy smile splays itself over her face and she gives a little hop in place before rushing over and climbing up onto your bed.
Thank you,
she excitedly says as she finally reaches the top. She falls on her side and rolls over until the short gap between the two of you is closed. Her forelegs wrap around your left arm as she wriggles her body, snuggling in closer. To her dismay, you gently pull your arm out of her grasp. But she soon brightens exceedingly more as you blanket her shoulders with your arm and pull her nearer to you. Your free hand reaches down towards your previously discarded covers, and soon they rejoin you on the bed. Rainbow seemed to settle down quickly. She lies on her side, using one of her hoofs as a pillow, and nestles in even closer. Soon your chin finds itself resting atop her head, and your eyes close as you gradually start to breathe deeply. A sense of absolute serenity overtakes the room. Lying there, late at night with Rainbow Dash in your arms. It feels as if everything is right with the world. Like everything you could ever need or ever want is right here with you. And really, it all is. You take a moment to truly appreciate the feeling of closeness overcoming you, and the adorable sight of Rainbow calmly breathing into your chest. Being that there wasn't much else to do, you carry on caring for Rainbow as if there was nothing else you'd rather be doing in the entire world than what you're doing right now. And honestly, there wasn't. A small time later, you catch yourself just as you're about to drift off into blissful unconsciousness. That wouldn't do. After all, you still had something on your mind.
Rainbow Dash?
You quietly whisper. A few moments of silence later, and you decide that sleep had already taken the young mare. Not wanting to wake her from her cute sleep, you...
Yeah?
Rainbow tilts her head in your direction, yawning as she does so.
Oops, my mistake. I didn't mean to wake you. Go back to bed.
No,
she whispers, her eyes still closed.
It's okay. What did you want to talk about?
With a caring yet curious voice you ask.
Rainbow, what happened in your bad dream?
Rainbow doesn't say anything. Instead, she slowly pivots her head towards you, but she keeps her eyes, which have regained the same scared, quivering motion as earlier, looking down, not willing to meet yours.
I'm so sorry.
She plunges her muzzle into your shoulder, hiding her face away from your vision. You immediately hear Rainbow's muffled sniffle, followed by a soft whimper.
Dash, what are you sorry for? It was just a dream.
Do you love me?
Of course I do, Rainbow Dash, you say with a smile, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world.
Do you even need to ask?
Promise you won't be mad?
She finally looks up at you as she says this, her eyes still clearly holding back tears.
I promise.
Rainbow takes a moment to breathe and calm down before continuing.
I didn't really have a bad dream. I just...
She trails off, not sure how to continue. Well, now your curiosity is piqued. If Dash didn't have a bad dream, what possible reason would she have to lie to you? There could be any number of scenarios, but you realize the simplest, most effective way to find out is to just ask her outright.
Why did you tell me you had a bad dream, Rainbow?
A small feeling of hurt tugs at your heart.
Please don't be mad.
A millisecond later and she dives for your arm again. You remove her from you, to which she softly lets out a cry, and firmly place your hand around her shoulders to stare straight at her.
I'm not mad, I promise.
The simple sentence is enough to calm down Rainbow Dash enough that she overcomes her tears.
Well, it's just... When I saw you walking into your room, I heard the thunder and I remembered that you can't sleep in there's thunder. So I thought that maybe if I spent the night with you, I could help you.
As her sentence grew, her confidence shrank, until she scarcely heard near the end.
So you did this for me?
Yeah.
After staring hard at her for a few more seconds, the biggest smile you can recall in a while flares up towards her face. As you pull Rainbow Dash in for an incredibly tight hug, all things seemed proper in the universe again, and there was nowhere else you'd rather be than in the hoofs of the filly right in front of you. The moment you'd pulled her in, she'd done so as well, relieved as she was that you weren't upset. In fact, you felt stupendous. Turning your head to whisper directly into her ear, you genuinely say, "Thank you, Rainbow Dash." Her smile broadens, and she replies,
I love you too, by the way.
Thank you. Hello and welcome back to Common Time with Visual Pony, where I will remind you that you can support Pony and Wolf Productions through the links down in the description below. Every dollar helped is needed and very much appreciated and helps to keep the lights on around here. And you want to keep the lights on around here, right? So let's get into the meat of the story, because I don't think I can keep talking this quickly for this long.
Okay, so... Wow. Just wow. If I would I had... let me just check out the other work of this author. They only have 2 stories, but I would personally say that... Oh, they haven't been online for 3 years, okay. That this story is very likely a side story to My Little Dashie. A story that I've also read on this channel, and I have wept, I have cried so badly reading My Little Dashie. Oh my word. It was, I think, the first story that had me blubbering, where I just couldn't... I could barely speak during my comments at the end, okay? And this here, you feel like a cloud that is beautiful. It's just beautiful. Figman, you have done a very amazing job here. And if you're ever going to hear this, then all I can say is both thumbs up, and I wish you had written more than just 2. With this, sincerely yours, Visual Pony, and I hope that this video finds you well in body and mind.
Luna, Get Out of My House by Overlord Flinks. Get out!
Silence. Complete, serene silence. Not a gust of wind brushing against the old tree's window panes, nor a single chipper from the roosting birds in the canopy above the lonesome home nestled far out in the vacant countryside. Not even the meeting of quill to paper made such a sound, if any, as a faint glow of white magic held aloft the nimble feather. Immersed in the void of blissful silence, the lone stallion within the bosom of his own wood wall hearth relinquished his thoughts to the words he wrote out. His listless, sleep-filled eyes followed along the written ink of his words, remarking each thought he laid out against the paper.
The elements of harmony, long since lost to the sands of time, have again retaken my thoughts. Waking or slumbering, my mind is enthralled by the prospects of these. tools, crafted by gods to be put in the lofty care of mere mortals. It astounds me, humbles me, to be among such a well-trusted race. Yet I am too perplexed at the prospects as well. To what ends were these tools given to us? Why us? For what divine or, perhaps, benign purpose does this all mean? I'm greatly humbled to admit that even I am laid bare to the true nature. Verily, though I think, it mayhaps mean nothing in the end of what I think of them. The elements of harmony were not sent by gods to be handled by me. They were sent to be placed in the highest capacity our race could conjure. My hopes to this day remain the same. I hope to see the birth of these most capable of using these tools for the greater good of Canterlot. By my own credence, I admit that I have my worries on the future of Canterlot, of Equestria. In my dreams, nightmares, I see the maw of a terrifying beast engulfing land before I awaken in a blinding white. This darkness I see, it blinds my mind with fear, as well as brings me beacon of something more. It merely may be my tired mind testing me, but I feel as though...
The quill skipped against the paper suddenly as an abrupt gust of wind was sent through the entirety of the cramped hovel. Pieces of paper placed off to the side were sent against the new rush of air, prompting the stallion working so diligently to raise his head from his work slowly and offer a tired glance to the source of the gust. On the other end of his quaint hovel, standing in the passage of a freshly opened door, was a single mare with a dignified stature about her. With nary a word, the mare stepped into the stallion's abode, and had the door shut behind her with a quick flicker of blue from her horn. The stallion himself snorted a disgruntled snarl at the mare before returning his attention to the work on the table. Though the door was now closed once more, otherwise returning the home to how it was moments ago, silence was not to return. Now, the sound of a quill heavily etching into wood through a piece of paper filled the room, the stallion's writing becoming more focused. The mare, a dark-coated, fair sort with luxurious wings, took an ear to the heavy quill faults and made a soft, yet audible clear of her throat. "Thou knowest that with such laden strokes of ink, thy inkwell shall be dwindled to nary a dribble, and thy quill will splinter, hm?" The stallion halted a moment, letting his quill dip back into the nearby inkwell, and for his nostrils to intake a soothing huff. Thoughts of order, duty, practice, and promises raced through his mind before he slammed a rather quick pair of hoofs against the table, causing his inkwell and quill to clink against one another. The mare did not flinch at the sudden action, holding to her visage a collected and dismissive tone. The stallion put one of his hoofs against his heavy cloak and ran down the hem of it, seemingly to collect his thoughts before speaking.
Princess, as much as I do so love unceremonious intrusions of my private dwellings by you, or any member of our cavalcade of sorts, I must inquire a most simple inquisition upon you.
His words tried to remain as calm as his tone attempted to be, though the falter of it into bother failed him.
Why are you intruding on my house when you could bother your sister? Or perhaps you could riddle your hoofs with that ghastly creature your sister keeps around. You could even gossip like tarts with what she goes by. Alas, you do not. You break into my house while I work, send my papers to scatter around my home, and tell me how to write.
Thy door had nary a lock on it, the princess rebutted, a slight smirk coming about her face. And do pardon us, O awesome and omnipotent Starswirl. Should we, a mere mare, offer a piece of advice in all our hubris? The mare bowed to Starswirl, rolling a hoof before her in a fit of dramatics. Starswirl tapped his hoof against his rope a moment more, allowing the princess's words to sink in and digest. Sure enough, he allowed a calm to overtake his expression before glancing back over Luna.
Luna, would you please take leave of my home? Now, please?
He kept his teeth gritted together behind his muzzle, attempting to keep all his inner feelings behind the facade. The dark princess pondered the request, tapping one of her dressed hoofs against the wooden floor of Starswell's home. When she finally voiced an answer, Starswell felt a nerve burst behind his right eye. "In all fairness, 'twas our house we have to thee," she answered plainly.
Luna!
Starswell took to a commanding, teacheresque voice as he focused all his attention to her.
Get out of my house, or I shall tattle on you to your sister!
Luna's eyes widened and she gave a snarl back at the old stallion.
"Old fogey, we have not a single fear of our own sister. Go ahead, tell her,"
Luna challenged. Though as she saw Starswell turn around to receive his letter parchment, she quickly bolted out of the stallion's home with not another word. Left alone once more, Starswell looked over his shoulder at the spot Luna once occupied. For a moment he sighed, before returning to his notes laid out on his work table. His quill, freshly inked, was drawn out from the well and placed back against the piece of paper, writing another trail of the old stallion's words.
I feel as though there is much in this world I do not yet understand. Knowing that, I come to realize how fleeting my world has come to be. I am alone with my thoughts, for I know that my thoughts are my own. There is none other in this world that can understand what it is I think and fear. That is my fear, it would seem. To have none that understands my thoughts. Not an ally, not a partner, not a loved one. I am alone with my thoughts for now, and perhaps forever.
And once again, this is Comment Time with Visual Pony, and I will remind you that you can support Pony Wolf Productions through the links down in the description below. Every dollar helps is needed and very much appreciated and helps to keep the lights on around here, and you want to keep the lights on around here, don't you? You want more stories, don't you? That really helps, being able to pay my bills and all that. Anyhow, let's get into the story here. I kinda like it. Starswell just sitting there and, writing down his thoughts. I do this from time to time, and it can be so liberating. But if I look at the artwork that was used as a cover image here, then I see in the mirror that he's looking into, I actually see not Luna as a nightmare, I see Starswell. Because there's a dark reflection of Starswell with red eyes. You should really look at it. I can't post it on YouTube because, copyright and all that, they'll strike me into next week. But this is a really amazing piece of artwork, a story that I actually wanted to read for quite a while. Let's actually look. When was it released? 2014. Wow. So yeah, it has been in my read later list for a while. Because if I remember correctly, I did add it shortly after it was released. Yeah, so that's been a while. I like it. I really like it. Also the childish behavior of Luna here, that really shows how a young Luna would act, especially with that near omnipotent power that she has, that she's wielding. I mean, we do know that Luna is even strong enough to create life, basically. We have seen that with a Tantabus or whatever it was called. That creature that she created herself to torture her every night with the same nightmare. So imagine that kind of power in the hands, or in this case hooves, of a teenager. She wouldn't fear anyone really, except maybe a being that has the same kind of power, which would be Celestia. Anyhow, let me know what you think about this story in the comments down below. I personally like it. I love it. I'll add it to my favorites right now. Actually, when was he seen? He was online 4 hours ago. Nice. Sincerely yours, Visual Pony, and I hope that this video finds you well in body and mind. Princess Luna Kills Nightmare Moon by I Am Sinner. Is the moon really made of cheese? Nightmare Moon sighed as she gazed upon the lifeless body of Luna. Okay, so we need to make it so that they don't know I killed Luna. How do I... She grinned. I shall pretend to be her evil side. Easy. So if they do defeat me, I can just use transformation spells to make me look like her. They'll believe it. First of all, Discord drawled as he suddenly appeared.
That's a horrible idea. Second of all, Luna's still alive.
Discord? Nightmare Moon growled. How are you?
Future and time shenanigans.
Discord grinned.
You just came back dead from the moon. I wanted to see what the Celestia happened back there.
I returned from what now? Nightmare Moon's head whipped to the door as Celestia blasted through it with a cry of Sister! Discord shrugged.
Anyway, that's my cue. Have fun on the moon with Looney.
He popped out of existence. Nightmare Moon cursed as she used illusion magic to turn herself into Luna. That stupid Draconicus. I just have to play the part well. Then, when she uses the elements, I can just switch to Luna. Easy. Luna shifted on the ground, groaning. Oh no, you don't! Nightmare Moon fired a blast at Luna, knocking her unconscious again. I'm doing this properly. I'll kill you later when I become you. Have fun. She stepped up to the balcony, awaiting Celestia. Of course, we all know what actually happened, didn't we? Celestia gawped as she stood over the corpse of Nightmare Moon. Wait, this isn't how it's supposed to go, she stammered. She just returned from the moon. I waited for 1,000 years for you, sister. No. Who did this to you? I shall avenge your death. A loud slurping noise. Celestia turned around and her jaw literally hit the ground. Hey, sis. Luna slurped from her drink. Oh, have I missed caffeine? The moon doesn't have caffeine at all. Luna? Celestia spluttered. Luna snorted. No, not Luna. Just plain Luna. I know it's been 1,000 years, but that's not an excuse to forget my name. Celestia looked at the corpse of Nightmare Moon before looking at Luna. But you're going to clean that up? Luna finished. Yeah, probably should. I do not know what is going on here and I need some alcohol. Then you're going to explain to me everything. Story time? Luna looked eager. I like telling stories. Not a story time, Luna. Explanation. Huzzah! Luna threw her drink aside. Let us partake in the alcohol and story time. Celestia slammed her head into a wall. How did we get both banished to the moon? Luna bellowed as she swung her sword at Nightmare Moon. I did absolutely nothing! You were right next to me! Nightmare Moon shouted back. We got banished together, you idiot! I'm going to kill you! Luna bellowed. You will die and the throne will be mine! Mine! No, mine! Luna fired a blast of magic at Nightmare Moon, but missed and created yet another crater on the moon. Wait, the craters were created by you? Celestia interrupted. Yep. Luna downed another bottle of wine. Another servant! The quivering butler quickly set down a whole bucket filled with bottles before fleeing. Anyways, Luna grinned a wild grin. I used my favorite tactic. I told her the moon was cheese. Hey look, cheese! Nightmare Moon shouted as she dived aside from Nightmare Moon's blast. Where? Nightmare Moon whirled around. I love cheese! Here! Luna smacked Nightmare Moon on the head with a giant wedge of cheese. Let me get this straight. Celestia leaned forward. You smacked her over the head with cheese. Yep, I then. Bing bong, the wicked witch is dead! Luna whooped. Huzzah! Not dead! Nightmare Moon charged into Luna. What? Luna wheezed as the air was knocked out of her. And now? Nightmare Moon lifted up a rolled up newspaper. Prepare for your doom! Wait, you thought cheese killed her? Celestia demanded. Yeah, isn't she supposed to melt witches or something? Luna protested. It's water, Luna. And that's from Twarosy and the Fausties art of Questria. Oh, anyways. Nightmare Moon slammed the newspaper on Luna's head. And your doom has come! Luna raised an eyebrow. What? Wait, where did my sword? Cheese! Luna slammed her in the head with cheese again. You did again? What? Cheese was good. Luna protested. Especially since I turned the moon to cheese. You did what now? Back to the story. More alcohol, servant. Luna, answer my question. And when we fought on the surface of the moon... In the name of cheese, I shall kill you, imposter! Luna slammed Nightmare Moon in the head with cheese again. In the name of conquering the world, I shall stab you with a knife! Nightmare Moon lunged forward with a cheese knife. Wait! Luna held up a hoof. Time out! Nightmare Moon froze mid-lunge. What? You had a cheese knife this entire time? Why didn't you tell me? Luna demanded. Wait. Nightmare Moon swiveled her head to the knife. Where did I get the cheese knife? Let me see that. Luna stepped forward. Here. Nightmare Moon hoofed it over. Luna examined the knife. Looks like a version 1 cheese knife. We can use it to cut the cheese and partake in a cheese meal. Truly, it shall be our salvation. A truce as we try to survive the 1,000 years? Nightmare Moon asked. Of course. Both of us know only a cheese knife can cut cheese. And the moon is cheese, our only source of food. Luna nodded. And so it shall be. Wait, so how did she die? Celestia tilted her head. Wait for the end of the story, sister. It's rude to interrupt the storyteller. So, Luna said as she cut the cheese for the 1,000th time. Our last meal. Our last meal, Nightmare Moon agreed gravely. Then we go back to Equestria. And with this cheese, I declare our truce over. Wait, Luna, what? Luna lunged forward with the knife and held it to Nightmare Moon's throat. The throne will be mine, dear Nightmare, she whispered almost lovingly. Goodbye. Luna, no! What about the cheese we shared? What about the years we spent together? Any cheese connoisseur would know that this was Fawis cheese. You told me it was T-Rex cheese. You're a fake cheese enjoyer. That means your death. No! And thus Nightmare Moon was killed by Princess Luna. Luna finished. A truly riveting tale, is it not? Luna, you just killed her for identifying the cheese wrong. Celestia deadpanned. She was ready to be your friend. But cheese is holy! Cheese is what now? Cheese is holy! Luna raised her glass to the sky. For the glory of cheese, I shall make my first decree of my return to Equestria. Cheese is now a national food! Celestia slammed her head into the wall. Boy, was her head suffering much.
Not like it was suffering much in other universes too, right? Hello and welcome back to Common Time as a Visual Pony, where I will once again remind you that you can support Pony and Wolf Productions through the links down in the description below. Every dollar helps is needed and very much appreciated. Also, every dollar helps to keep the lights on around here, you know? Oh, and I kind of lost my thread here. Anyhow, let me get into this, into the story here. This once again is a story about our beloved I Am Sinner. One of those shitpost stories that he does so often. So, that's also, my mic. That's also something that I kind of love about his content. It's just, you know, you don't have to think about it really. It's just something that you can enjoy and laugh at. But seriously, I did not expect that. I did not review the story before I did. With authors that I know, you know, I oftentimes just don't do that. But I like it. I like it. So that Luna is killing Nightmare Moon for cheese. Or because she identified the cheese wrong. Oh my word. Anyhow, go to the author's page and give them some love, will ya? Because this guy is just cranking him out and he is really, really good. And with this, I am signing off and I hope that this story finds you well in body and mind. The Fluttershy Effect by SMX Sonic.
I can't forgive her,
Fluttershy said, her voice the most commanding any pony has ever heard it. The discussion about what to do with Starlight Glimmer after her time-traveling shenanigans came to a halt. The 5 other ponies all stared wide-eyed at the Pegasus from each of their crystal thrones.
Fluttershy, I'm surprised,
Rarity commented.
I would have expected you of all ponies to try and defend her.
You was the one that was totally into her town,
Rainbow Dash said.
Well, yes, but this is the most horrible thing any pony has ever done,
Fluttershy countered.
You all heard Twilight. She broke us apart and Equestria suffered for it.
Sure she did, but that's all time travel. Twilight stopped her and there's no harm done.
You were able to forgive Discord even after all he's done,
Pinkie Pie said.
And he made Rarity fall in love with the rock.
We don't talk about Tom, remember?
Rarity said through gritted teeth.
Discord is a different case. He needed to learn friendship,
Fluttershy said.
The same with Starlight,
Twilight finally said.
But Twilight, Starlight had a friend, and from what you've told us, she made no effort to even make contact with Sunburst.
The whole table went quiet, each pony contemplating this point. Starlight's story did seem a bit small. It wasn't tragic enough to justify trying to steal cutie marks. But maybe that was only the starting point. Maybe there was more to the story than what Twilight saw.
I'm sorry,
Fluttershy said, trying to hide behind her mane.
I still can't forgive her, but I will go along with whatever you guys say we should do.
Okay, Fluttershy,
Twilight responded.
Your input is as valuable as any pony's.
I can't say I blame you, Sugar Cube. Just a my surprising coming from you and all, Applejack drawled. The rest of the ponies around the table mumbled similar sentiments and went back to their discussion. It was decided Starlight Glimmer would stay in Ponyville and learn friendship from Princess Twilight and her friends. Fluttershy had requested a one-on-one talk with Starlight after she was oriented in Ponyville. Starlight Glimmer walked slowly to Fluttershy's cottage, wondering why Fluttershy of all ponies would want alone time with her. Fluttershy was the spy when they overthrew her town. Maybe she wanted to talk about that and apologize.
No, none of that. They're your friends now,
Starlight said to herself in an attempt to calm herself. Starlight rapped on Fluttershy's door, prompting a
"Come in"
from in the cottage. Entering the cottage, she saw Fluttershy sitting at a table with a tea set laid out. There were place settings for 2 ponies.
"Hello, Starlight,"
Fluttershy said.
"Please come in."
Starlight walked nervously to the table and sat there, accepting a cup of tea.
Starlight, I have a confession to make,
Fluttershy said, now that pleasantries were over. Her head was turned to the floor, mulling over what she was about to say next. Fluttershy started and then took a deep breath.
I remember everything.
Oh, well, I guess it still happened recently, but I'm still making amends right now. I promise I'm not the same pony that locked you and your friends in that shed.
Starlight pleaded.
No, Starlight, you don't understand.
Fluttershy's mane covered one of her eyes, not from fear, but to denote the grave nature of the conversation.
I remember everything. I remember you telling those bullies not to tease me, but I also remember all of the different worlds that were created from you.
What?
Starlight's eyes went wide, trying to process what the pink-maned pony just said.
But that's impossible!
Fluttershy shook her head.
Discord gave me the ability to retain memories of alternate timelines, so that I can remember some of the pranks he's pulled involving time travel.
Starlight was about to ask who Discord was, but the more pressing issue was Fluttershy.
Of course I didn't remember every timeline as it happened, but it all just came rushing back as things went back to normal. Time travel is complicated that way.
Fluttershy explained.
I'm so sorry,
Starlight said, her voice catching.
I'm sure you are, Starlight, but I don't think I can ever forgive you,
Fluttershy declared.
Fluttershy.
Starlight's eyes were watering. There was nothing she could say. She could only apologize.
In the Crystal War, I was shearing sheep for the military. When I wasn't doing that, I was a medic. I was there when Rainbow Dash had to get her wing replaced. She lost a lot of abilities that day. She could never be a Wonderbolt anyway. Sombra took care of them a few months into the war. She screamed in agony when they attached the metal wing.
Fluttershy left the table to compose herself, her eyes watering. Starlight sat there, too shocked at what her actions had done.
I felt so happy when I saw Twilight in the Changeling War. I couldn't show it, but for a moment I thought my dreams were real after all. When the Kura put that salve on them, my heart jumped. Not only were my dreams real, but one of my best friends came to rescue me. Of course I had to cover her and I was struck down.
What can I do?
Starlight said, tears falling from her eyes.
I only saw one future. I didn't know how bad I made things.
I'm not sure if there's anything you can do. I don't think I can forgive any of the horrible worlds that I've endured. I've never felt this way. I've never truly wished a pony to be banished to Tartarus. Even then, it might be too good for you,
Fluttershy said.
I think I need to leave,
Starlight said as she walked out of the cottage.
I promise I will find a way to make it up to you.
Fluttershy said nothing as she closed the door. Starlight started weeping softly as she walked home. It was the next day and Twilight was in the mirror room, fiddling with the portal apparatus, growing increasingly frustrated with the fact that, for some reason, the mirror went dormant.
Oh,
Twilight groaned.
I hope you're okay, Sunset.
There was a knock at the door. Twilight called for the visitor to enter while trying to tighten another screw on the machine. Fluttershy walked in, her face somber from the previous night. The portal apparatus sparked as Twilight looked to Fluttershy.
Hey, Fluttershy!
Twilight greeted.
Sorry, I've been tinkering with the mirror. Sunset Shimmer sent me a lot of messages before the whole time travel thing, but the portal's not opening for some reason.
Oh, I hope she's okay,
Fluttershy said.
I'm sure she can take care of herself,
Twilight reasoned.
Although I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried.
Fluttershy and Twilight looked to the mirror, which gave one last defiant spark.
So, Fluttershy, what's going on?
Twilight asked, deciding to distract herself from her project.
Oh, I just wanted to, apologize.
Fluttershy said, trying to hide herself in her mane.
For what?
Twilight said, her head tilting in confusion.
For not sticking up for you when we were invaded by changelings.
Twilight laughed.
Don't worry, Fluttershy, you weren't yourself. But I was. I had dreams of all the times we spent together. When I became a fashion model. Or even when we visited the fields and the McColls.
Fluttershy rambled.
Wait, you're speaking as if you actually remember all of those timelines.
Fluttershy nodded meekly.
But how?
Twilight sputtered before coming to a realization and lowered her eyelids.
Discord?
Twilight asked laconically.
Discord.
Fluttershy responded in kind.
Oh, Fluttershy, I'm so sorry. No wonder you found it so hard to forgive Starlight.
Twilight said while hugging Fluttershy.
Am I a bad pony for not forgiving Starlight?
Fluttershy asked.
No, of course not. Not after what you've been through.
Twilight said, entering what was affectionately called Princess Mode.
But you're willing to make things work, right?
Twilight asked. Fluttershy nodded.
Good. Who knows, Starlight may surprise you, like Discord has surprised you.
Fluttershy returned more or less to her normal self, too shy to protest that point. The mirror then sprang to life as a portal opened.
Oh, finally!
Twilight grumped before looking back to Fluttershy.
Will you be okay here?
Fluttershy nodded as Twilight started to flow above the ground.
Good, this shouldn't be long.
Twilight zoomed into the mirror, leaving Fluttershy alone, thinking about Starlight Glimmer and what this meant for the status quo of Ponyville. Hello and welcome back to Common Time as Visual Pony, everyone, and once again I will remind you that you can support Pony and Wolf Productions through the links down in the description below. Every dollar helps is needed and very much appreciated, and also helps to keep the lights on around here, and you want to keep the lights on around here, right? Because if the lights go out, then we can't record more stories. That's just, just the truth of it. Anyhow, let's get into the meat of the story, and because I cannot speak for this, like this for much longer. Okay, let's get into the meat of this. As you will see in the behind the scenes video, I did not review this story before I started recording, but oh my word. This story is getting dark. So I must say, I also kind of like to see this explored. What if Fluttershy was actually remembering all of those timelines? How would she deal with Starlight? How would things play out? I would be very interested in that. Because Fluttershy, our cute little gentle Fluttershy, I'm fairly certain that Starlight would not come, as we say in German, not get onto a green twig. That basically means she would never get a foot off the ground. She'd be stagnant in Fluttershy's eyes. She would never be able to change, never be able to redeem herself. But what do you think? Let me know down in the comments below. What do you think how Fluttershy would react? If she really remembered all of those timelines. Anyhow, my name is Visual Pony, and I'm signing off, hoping that this video will find you well in body and mind.